Hello, Minda. How you doing today?
Hi, how's it going?
Everything is good. How's it holding up there? Is it cold? Down here in Atlanta, it's freezing.
It's not. Surprisingly, today was like actually one of the warmer days.
Good.
So I would say we're probably like 60s, maybe like lower 60s, mid 60s. So it's kind of like spring weather today. It changes
So,
every 5 minutes here though. So
same thing down here. So, did you go out there and jog in the park?
I did not. I went to work today. So I was
Mm.
wishing I was jogging in the park and enjoying myself, but I had to go to work.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm glad that you joined us. I do these different series. The last series that I had was on the stroke survivor caregivers, and I wanted to switch avenues a little bit to deal with the stroke survivors, AVM survivors, aneurysm survivors, and basically get their feedback on basically how life is afterwards. So the title of this particular series is called um, Death, What It Has Taught Us How to Live, or Death Teaching Us How to Live.
Right.
So I want to get into your story a little bit. I know you got very good content, and I'm very impressed with that. Um, God is my glow up. What is that about?
Yeah.
Tell me what that is.
Well, it's interesting how it kind of all came about, but I guess as we discuss it, you'll find out a little bit more about me and my journey, and as far as spirituality and how this event has affected my life in that way. But honestly, I cannot do anything but give honor to God and glory to God for keeping me here. So many
Absolutely.
people lose their lives this way, and you know, for me, I don't chalk it up to chance. I know that there is a bigger purpose and a bigger mission beyond me. So there's a lot of other people out there that are going through this. And, it's not something that's advertised, it's not something we see a lot. And before this happened to me, I didn't know anything about this. So it's one of those things like you just don't really pay attention until it happens to you or someone close to you. So
Yeah.
it inspired me, and I actually started my company in August of this year. And really initially it was just a way for me to kind of raise some funds because I had some hospital bills, as anyone that's been through this knows. So yeah, I God is my glow up, here we are.
Yeah, that is a pretty interesting phrase. 'Cause I never heard that phrase before. God is my glow up, and like what does that actually mean when you actually say that to people? What does that mean for them? Like how can somebody can actually get that actual T-shirt and actually represent that and understand what that actually is actually trying the message that you're trying to put out there?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked that. Yeah, it ultimately it just represents the fact that, I didn't do this by myself. I didn't get here by myself. Any positive things that you see happen to me, just a lot of things. It was interesting because before all of this happened, there was a few key points in my life where I was like, I gotta thank God for that because He made that happen. I didn't do that in my own strength and my own power. So just knowing that, I was able to do certain things with my life and to be able to advance in certain ways. I went back to school, um, and I was trying my best, for me just to be a better mom to my kids. And so anything good that happens to me, I know that God is right there behind it, orchestrating it. We may not understand it all and how it all works together and what the whole big picture is, but for me, anything good that happens, and in my case, I'm alive, He's the reason why. So I definitely attribute any wonderful things, even starting the company. Just it's not me, it's Him. So
So I'm finally understanding what you're actually saying with that phrase. Your glow up is basically when people see you, they see that positive energy.
yeah.
I get it. Okay. I get it now. I didn't know. I was like, okay, I didn't really understand it. But now when you just explain that to me, that makes complete and total sense. So with this company, basically, what are you trying to do with it in the future? I know it helped you get to where you are now, but what are you trying to bring this actual company to?
Honestly, I would love to do more when it comes to terms with, maybe partnering to raise money with some other organizations. I know many of us that are in this community know about like TAF and a few other, I think there's another group that they have Stop the Pop and just a lot of different groups that have a focus more towards brain aneurysm awareness and stroke survivors, anybody that's kind of been through what we've been through. And I really hope that they can put more into continue to put more into research and even screenings, because that's something I feel like isn't talked about as much. You hear a lot about research and you hear a lot about obviously you want to help survivors or help families who've had to deal with this, but we definitely need to be able to allow people to get screened, and at either a lower cost or no cost. There's no reason, we live in this country and there's no reason why we can't prevent so many things by just having the ability to get people screened.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I've been talking to this lady out of Long Island, New York. The Gina, her daughter, Paige Keeley Foundation that she has.
Yes.
Her daughter died from an AVM rupture at the age of 6. And the way she talks to me about this is that she wished that they had some type of screening within regular physicals, and it's easy to get. Like I myself, I played football in high school and college, and I used to get my head banged up all the time. And I never, ever, ever got any screening from my head. And I could have just died on the football field. So, yeah, I agree with you completely. And I don't know if people really understand, like, basically, we are twins ourselves because we both had the same thing. We had what's called an AVM, arteriovenous malformation inside of our
Mm-hmm.
heads. It was a ticking time bomb. We was
Yes.
born with it. And then one day it just,
Boom.
and this is what happens. Um, so let's talk about your story a little bit, because I know that you have a pretty good YouTube channel with your story that you have already, and I will put this in the comments later on so people can actually view it. But let's talk about what this is to you, like an AVM. What actually happened? How old are you? When did this happen? And let's talk about it. Let's go.
Yeah, so I'm 35 years old. This actually happened. It's weird because I could say last year now because it was 2020 when it happened in February. And again, like you, this is something I was born with. I had no idea I was born with it. And there's nothing that, you can be healthy that whole 35 years or however long and not really have any symptoms, or so we think, of any of this, or that no clues this can happen to you. And so that was me, and it was just, I just been living my life. I've been pretty athletic most of my life. I played sports. I played basketball. Like you said, I've been banged up quite a bit through sports: basketball, gymnastics, soccer. I've done it a little bit of everything. So I've gotten injured before, and nothing major had happened prior to this. And then I just literally woke up one morning, and that's when it all happened. So, uh, crazy headache. That this is the most common term that we've both probably heard, is like the worst headache of your life. If you hear anyone say that, then they've probably been through this. So, and for me, I don't know how it was for you, but for me, it was almost like you imagine like sirens, um, and like think of the loudest noise possible. um in my head, it felt like it was like almost like a siren, but not the actual sound of a siren, but however loud you can turn a siren up in your head, and you can feel the pulsating sound of it. And that's what it was like. And it was just like, and it was like I felt like I couldn't really move. I went to go stand up, and then that's when I realized I had lost feeling in my legs. um, and I'd started to throw up. That's when, and I was at my friend's house, so that's when I knew something was crazy, because nothing like this had ever happened to me before, and I couldn't walk. I didn't realize it at the time, but I wasn't speaking like I thought I was speaking. I thought I was talking
All right.
regularly, and when someone has a stroke, their words get slurred and their speech gets slurred. And so I was trying to figure out why my friend couldn't understand what I was saying. I was like, get help, get help. And it was because my speech probably was like all over the place and slurred. So, yeah, my friend called the 911, and they came, and thank God, like everything happened the way that it did, because most people, a lot of things, you know, after there's a small window of time that they have to really,
That act fast.
such a small window. And for
Yep.
me, it felt like eternity. But
Yep.
my friend called the 911, and the ambulance came to get me. And that was literally the last thing that I remember visually seeing. After that, I
You
don't
got
remember
that.
seeing people, things. I could hear things going on around me, but I couldn't see anything. And then, yeah, after that, it pretty much went black kind of for me, but I could still hear things going on. Apparently, I was taken to the local hospital in Virginia Beach. And then they ended up flying me from that hospital via helicopter to a hospital in Norfolk, which is, I guess, maybe 20 minutes away if you're driving. Um, and I think that's what did it. Like the fact that they were able to airlift me and get me to the other hospital. And then I didn't actually have surgery right away. They just started the scanning procedures, like the CT, and to see what was there. I feel fortunate because they were actually able to find this AVM, because I know a lot of situations, when you have brain hemorrhaging and bleeding, they can't find it or they can't see it. And so they're just trying to stop the bleeding. That's their first thing. So I ended up having to get a drain put in, to relieve the pressure. And then after that was when I had the surgery. About a week later, actually. They waited about a week. But yeah.
So they didn't do any clotting or anything for a whole entire week.
They did. I know they did the I don't want to use the wrong term. Is it the embolization?
Yes.
They did
Yes.
that.
Clotting.
Yeah, I believe they did that. But I didn't actually have it clipped, have the AVM removed until a week later. So yeah, they
Yeah, we
did. Yeah.
the same thing for me. I had an angiogram. They had to go through my groin, and
Yep.
but I was up through the whole thing. But I want to talk about Hey Warrior Fight Back, and also someone else said something in here that I found pretty interesting. Yeah, awareness and screening is needed. Thank you, Kayla. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Hmm.
But a lot of people, we tell them these stories, but for you, I don't know how it is, but for me, I don't really have a lot of people that understand this stuff. So when I talk to other people that have been through it, I like to ask them these type of questions. Like, you always talk about with your videos about, your faith, having strong faith and everything like that. But it was weird for me when I actually had this happen to me. Like, I thought I was gonna die.
I did too.
No question about it. I was like, I'm dying. Death. Here we go.
Yep.
But everything changed for me. Like my senses got very, very strong. Colors were more vibrant. My smell, my hearing, everything was like very, very strong. And I was ready for death. But then I asked God, I said, God, give me another chance. I need to talk to my daughters. I need to teach them more things. And I heard clear as day, okay. And everything changed back to normal. But I was still in pain and things like that. Like, how was that experience? Do you remember that part?
Yeah, so that's really interesting to have. That's weird because I've never been able to have this conversation with anybody else before, because nobody else has been through it. That I personally can talk to. Um, And yeah, I just remember when it literally was like one of those, the screen went black. It's like you're watching a movie and it's like the end of the movie, and then, right before the credits roll and it just goes black. It was that. And I didn't think there was anything after that. I was just like, and I knew when I started feeling sick, I remember telling my friend, I said, I don't want to die. I said,
Mm,
I don't want to die. Please don't let me die. And it's something that in that moment, like when it all happened, I just knew, like, I was felt like I was going to die. This was it. And there
right.
was no time to even think about anything. Like, I feel crazy because I didn't even have a chance to think about my mother and my kids and like I briefly did, but it was like everything happened so fast you just don't realize you don't have time to say anything to the people that you love
Mm,
about anything. It's just
hmm
the screen went black. The credits were getting ready to roll. It was about to be over for me completely. And I know this, which is why I feel so strongly about my faith. And, I'm never one to like push anyone else to feel a certain way or anything like that. But I know what it meant for me and, what kept my strength. And the fact that I was like, God, I don't want to die. I was like,
Right,
don't let me die.
right.
So yeah,
So, yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people don't understand that concept. Like for me, I'm not scared of death. And hold on,
me neither.
Warrior Fight Back. Did you ever have any paralysis? Did
Yes,
you have any
yes,
paralysis?
I did.
Okay.
I had my brain bleed was on the left, so my right side was affected. So my right
Mhm.
side, I had paralysis. I still have numbness in my right leg, in my right foot. But it's slowly as time has progressed, I'm starting to get like weird, like sensations and stuff that tells me like your nerves are regrowing or whatever. But I definitely like this side was like no good. It was bad.
And you can't explain it to nobody else because nobody else can actually see it. Yeah,
Right.
I
They
get.
see like I literally look the same, but but it's like even now to this day I have to be more conscious of it because I've already been through it, but walking, I have to be careful when I'm doing stairs because I'll trip. um if I'm in a room that I don't know, I'm not familiar with, like in my house, I could still walk around here in the dark and not fall over completely. But like if I'm in a new space, I have my friend walk with me, or I have to touch the walls so that I can feel where I'm going so I don't bump into things. Because I made the mistake and ran into the wall and hit my head, and I was like, okay, we won't do that again. So I take it real slow, and yes, you are definitely affected, and people just don't know. They'll see you like, you look normal, and I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, like only if you knew.
You're right.
Warrior Fight Back. Minda had this problem, or not this problem, with the stroke, the AVM last February, right?
February 2020. Yeah.
So this is not a year
It's
yet. I'm
not
pretty
even a
shocked
year
too.
into it.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at her. I'm like, wow, I'm very impressed. And you got to really see her stuff, her content. She has very good stuff. And I'm like, how can she do all this stuff in less than a year after having a stroke? I'm highly impressed. That's why I had to have you on my show first because you're basically an inspiration for me as well. You're an inspiration for the whole community that you're doing all this stuff. And I wanted to let people know that just because we had strokes and there's all different type of flavors of strokes, we still can function. We still can have a viable source of life and also be a contributor to our communities. So that's why I basically have her on here. This is, yeah, exactly. Wow. That's what I'm saying. Wow, too. Like, I'm completely in awe because I'm 3 years out and most of the stuff that you're doing, I wish I can do. And I'm so proud of
It's funny
you.
that you say that because it was a kind of a shock to me in a sense because I remember where I thought like am I ever going to come back from this? Those moments when you're in the hospital and you're kind of first becoming conscious of where you are and what's happening, and you realize like I set off so many alarms in the hospital for being a fall risk because I kept trying to get up and do things for myself. um all the bells were going off, like, and the nurses are running in like, what did you do? And I'm like, I was trying to go to the bathroom, but apparently I can't do that. So it was certain things, and then I didn't even realize what had happened in a sense because I'm still trying to do these things, but I don't realize there is weakness. I will fall over initially, like when I was, when I first was in
Right,
the hospital. You're like, oh, I can't do that right now. But for me, it was like, what do I have to do to get out of here? So I did
right.
laps around that hospital as much as possible. I think that hospital staff always makes a difference too. I had, I remember this one nurse that gave me she let me go to the cappuccino machine, and I had my first sip of coffee, and after that I was like, pew,
That's
I was
it.
gone. I was like, okay, get me out this hospital The food is terrible. You know, I think I had a lot of like I didn't have a lot of people because you'll be well, you know, you probably know. When you go through something like this, these are the moments you find out who your real friends are and who
Absolutely.
really has your back. And I had a lot of support. You know, there are people in my life that have been solid for years. I'll say decades, you know, we're talking. And seeing their faces to come visit at the hospital, mind you, this is right before COVID. So I was so blessed because I got to see these faces in the hospital when this happened, where I know people that are going through it now and today. I really, you know, I really feel for them because to not have that family right there with you, it can make a difference in your recovery, you know. So, but yeah, it was just, you know, I was ready to get out. I was like, I'm ready to go. I want to go home. I want to sleep in my own bed. Um,
Absolutely.
so that was motivation, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And they had some physical therapy or like occupational therapists come with work with me in the hospital. Like each day, they would have somebody come. They had people come to do cognitive like testing to see how I was if I was progressing. That made me mad. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if anybody tells y'all, but when you have something like this happen, um, your it affects you, your emotions and your mental health is affected. So you get frustrated more easily and you really get mad at yourself because you're like, I could do this before and I don't know why I can't do this now. This is frustrating and I keep tripping or I keep falling. And you just got to kind of push through those moments and remember you one step forward further towards your goal than you were yesterday. That's what I have to keep telling
Right.
myself. My therapist said give yourself some grace. So
Oh, yeah. Everything you're saying, I completely agree with, and a lot of people don't understand it. So I'm glad you're actually bringing that up. But I do have two questions for you because we're almost out of time. But I want to ask these two questions about this experience that you have for you. One is when this was happening to you, uh, the AVM rupture. You remember that part, but do you remember the stroke part, or did it happen simultaneously?
it happened simultaneously, I believe, because when I woke up, the effects of the stroke were there after I woke up. So, well, I mean, I guess, I guess simultaneously because I lost the feeling in my legs when the rupture happened. So a lot of, and then the slurred speech. So yeah, I guess that happened beforehand, actually, if I'm chronologically putting it together correctly. It actually happened, the stroke, I guess, happened before, and then, um, but I guess it was with the rupture, I guess, together, I guess, is how it all happened. I don't know. It's kind of, it's weird because there's so many pieces to the puzzle. Like people have had strokes without having an AVM. People have had,
Right.
you know, um, aneurysms that, that maybe the aneurysm hadn't ruptured yet, or you know there's certain things that they can see before it gets to certain points. So for me it was like everything kind of just happened at once. But I've had the effects of all of it, you know, brain bleed, that was crazy. So
Okay. And it seemed like, yes, I'm on antidepressants. You will get back, as long as your mind, and I tell people this all the time, it's not necessarily what you lost, it's about, how you perceive things now and how you actually want to live your life. So I need to ask you another question before I ask these series of questions I have for you later on. This question that I have for you is, for me, well, I got a statement first. For me, the way I explain this to people is like you're in jail, your mind is in jail, and your body is trying to get out and try to do the things that your mind is saying, but it can't happen. Do you feel the same exact way?
um
That kind of
I kind of, yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, you feel like you're trapped. Your body is um I don't know, I guess for me it was more like in my mind, I wanted to do so many things. I thought I was able to do so many things, but then I realized like I can't do that yet. And I had to keep telling myself, I had to add that last part, yet. You know, when you say words have power. So when you say something, you're literally speaking it into
Preach.
existence. So I didn't want to say I can't do this, but I would get frustrated and be like, I don't know why I can't do this right now. This is frustrating me. You know, I would try to, I actually was strangely conscious of my word. Not, I wasn't conscious of what I was saying then, but now that I realize it, like I wasn't saying I can't do this. I can't do this. I was just frustrated and like, I don't know why I can't do this right now. This is frustrating me. But yeah, it's like your mind and your body are in two different places. It's the weirdest thing I think I've ever been through.
Yeah, for me, the way I try to explain that part that you just talked about is like my mind is an 18-year-old type of mentality, and my body feels like I'm 65, but I know I'm 44,
Yes. Yeah.
and I'm trying to bring all those three back together.
No, that you literally said it exactly how it is. You know, I'm like, I'm, you know, I felt younger in my head, but then physically, I felt like an 80-year-old person when you have other people helping you and you can't walk a certain way. It's just, it was a lot, even, you know.
Right. Right. And the last question I have before I ask these series of questions that I have for you that deals with deaf teaching us life. Um, to me, and I don't know if this is the same thing for you, and it seemed like it happened for you very rapidly. But for me, you know, my first thing that happened to me is like I was in denial. Like I had a stroke, I had an AVM. This, what the heck is going on? And then after that denial phase, probably about a year later, um, I had to have acceptance. Like, okay, this is my new life. This is what I'm going to be like. I was depressed a lot, anxiety a lot, and I had to deal with that. Nobody understood what I was talking about. And then after that, after I got through that particular phase, it was like an enlightenment phase. Like I feel that I'm different than a normal person. And what I mean by that is like even like with Bible scriptures and things like that, I see them differently. I understand them differently than what I used to understand them. So I can understand what the Messiah was saying when he said certain things in the Bible. I get it. I get what he's actually trying to talk about. Um, did you have that type of experience, or are you having that type of experience?
I definitely, I think this whole experience it's definitely just changed the way that I looked at everything. But I definitely went through those phases of I kind of skipped over the depression part a little bit.
Really?
Yes, and it's crazy. It sounds crazy, but I think I was so determined in my head that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want people helping me. I'm so used to doing for myself. Also, in this case, I have twins. So my twins are 6 years old. And so I have
Oh,
I have a boy and a girl. And so for me, I've never been away from
hold on, hold on. Are you a single parent?
I am.
Okay. So all this on top of it, you got to take care of kids, take care of yourself.
Yeah, so
Okay.
my first thought, you know, after, you know, being in the when I first realized I'm in the hospital, it's like, okay, what do I have to do to get out of here? Because I got kids I got to go take care of. And you know, fortunately, they were with their, you know, they're with their father, who was able to, you know, take care of him during that period that I was in the hospital. But that's all they've known, you know, consistently, you know, like has been mom's always there. So this was the first time they were separated from me, and I was just like, I gotta get up, I gotta move. The sooner I move, the sooner I get going, I can get back to them. And
Right.
yeah, so that was what motivated. But I didn't deal with a lot of the other stuff that comes with it because at first that was my mindset. But then I realized, like, wait, I don't feel that great about myself. First of all, I got the worst haircut of my entire life. Okay. It was the worst haircut of my entire life. Like, I laugh about it now, and I'm
Right.
thankful that these doctors saved my life. I'm so grateful that they did all the work that they did. But I said, you guys couldn't have like turned the clippers just at a different angle because it was crazy. So I initially had, you know, I'm walking out the hospital. I have this whole front section of my head where they put the drain, that's shaved. And the entire, like if you were to split it down the middle, the entire, I know my right from my left, my entire left side is completely shaved off.
Like this, right?
Yes, like, well, not that low, but it was as low, almost that low, pretty much. It was as
Right.
close to that as they could get. So yeah, so that was, so I literally am waking up with like this weird random like patch of hair, and I'm like, what happened? And people were coming in, they look at you, and you can see on their face, they're like, oh yeah, you look different, and you could see it on their face, and I'm like, I must look really bad because nobody's telling me, talking or telling me in the hospital what I look like. And then you go home, you get the realization like, I'm not myself anymore. I don't look like myself. I don't feel like myself. I'm bumping into walls every 2 minutes. I'm tripping. I don't have the coordination that I had. It was like the flood afterwards. So I held it together initially for the kids, but then after I got home and I had time to actually sit and I'm supposed to be recuperating, I just was like, what happened? What happened to me? Did this happen to me? And even to this day, like I'm still not a year out. So I've maybe in a few months I'll revisit how I feel about it all, but it still feels like complete surreal because it just it just happened so fast. And I think I
Life
haven't had the time to process it that much because COVID came so quickly, and it was like literally right after I got home, the world shut down. So
right.
I couldn't go to physical therapy. I couldn't go to physical therapy for 6 months. Was not able to go get in with a physical therapist for 6 months.
Well, time out, everybody. Once you see her YouTube video, you see her jumping up and down. I'm like, this is crazy. You got to really watch it. But continue. You didn't have therapy for 6 months? Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't have physical therapy for 6 months, but I'll tell you what I did. I walked. I remember the first day that I walked. I went to the park. My friend and I went to the park, and we just walked. And we actually walked further than I thought I was going to be able to walk. But I did a lot of walking in the beginning. I didn't try to do anything too crazy. But then riding a bike. So I managed to buy a bike before the bikes got sold out at Walmart. And I know that seems crazy, but I wore my helmet, so I took precautions.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe just it helped with my balance. But I got on a bike as soon as I was cleared by a doctor. I was cleared to do the physical activity because I still had to have, I knew I was going to have like another angiogram. They did one 6 months after. So I waited till I was cleared from that to like really do a lot of stuff. But yeah, I started walking and then jogging. And then my goal was to do a 10K. I wanted to help raise the money for these hospital bills. And I said, okay, I'm going to do a 10K. And people supported me. So many of my friends and my family they really just went on to support me. And I did my 10K and I got my medal.
Ah, that's what's up.
So
Congratulations.
thank you. So at this point, it's like, it's one of those things like you or I could honestly say is like, we've been through some stuff, but when God is for you, who can be against you? And I'm just fortunate
Absolutely.
and blessed to be here to try to spread awareness and to get the message out there, that this is something we can all learn from. So
That's a good segue to this next part that I have. Thank you for actually bringing that up. What we actually do, what is our service? What is our duty? Why did God save our lives? So at this point, I'm just going to shoot at 4 or 5 questions. I want to let you just speak on it for about 30 seconds each, and just give us our listening audience some feedback on this.
okay.
So since this happened to you, you had this tragic thing, you have kids, you have to work, you got to support them. Now, things are different. You see life different. Death has taught you how to live. God has taught you how to live. That's your glow up. So
Yeah.
let's talk about this. And obviously, some of these things you probably already said, but I want to have these little sound bites from you. Give me 30 seconds on each of these questions I'm giving you right now. The first one is, do you feel different about life?
I definitely feel different about life. I appreciate life. I'm probably more grateful than I've ever been in my entire life. I'm grateful for the little things, the smallest things. Um, I look at things in the reverse nowadays. If there's traffic on the road, or something irritating me, I look at it from the standpoint that maybe maybe there's traffic because there was an accident that God said, I don't really think you need to be a part of this, so I'm gonna get you out the way, and you might not like your circumstances temporarily, but I'm saving you from something much worse, you know. So everything, I just look at it from a different standpoint. More gratitude, definitely more gratitude.
Second question, what is important about life?
That's a good one. I think that every person comes to the point in their lives where they wonder what their purpose is. They wonder what they're born to do. You're questioning, why am I here? What's the point of this? Why did I suffer this? Why did you put me on this earth if I have to suffer this type of experience? Like, what's the point? So I just feel like what's important in life, in our world, in our community, is that we understand who God made us to be. I don't think that we realize all the power that we do have within us, and I'm grateful because God's given me the tools to understand my purpose and to help people that I care about. I want people to know that you're loved, you're here for a purpose. You might not see it right now, and I'm apologize to anyone out there who doesn't necessarily want to hear it, but Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future. So you have a future, there is hope, and that's what I want people to know.
Okay. You basically answered this, but specifically, I want your answer of what this actually is for you. So my third question is, what are you trying to accomplish with this new life?
I just want to accomplish, awareness. I want people to be a little more selfless, and a lot less selfish. I want people to look at life, understanding there is a clock. There's a clock for all of us. And I want people to know that, you know, while you're here, you can make a difference. You may not think that your life has any meaning or purpose. You might have in little pockets of your life where you're like wondering, why am I here? What is the purpose behind this? But a lot of times we don't get those answers right away. We're like, we're the kids, in the scenario. You want to know, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Well, you realize your parents were protecting you from something much bigger than you, something that could hurt you down the line or whatever. So I just want people to know that, you're loved. You do have a purpose. I want to, and I want people to be aware that this exists. Don't turn a blind eye to this cause. AVMs, aneurysms, strokes. Like, this is all very real, and there's no timestamp on when it can happen to you. You know.
Okay. I got two more, and then we're going to close this out. And you're basically saying it, but I want you to give me a soundbite on it.
Gotcha.
Is time management important?
Absolutely. I've been a mom of multiples for 6.5 years now. So my time is super valuable, and my time with my kids, my family, my loved ones, my friends, it's extremely valuable. It's not always about the planning. Over planning can create anxiety, and we got enough of that in our lives. But planning is still important. I write everything down, notes, you name it. But anyone that suffers from this, they understand that, planning, proper time management is important. And I might not accomplish everything that I want to, but if I check certain boxes off throughout my day, okay, you know what? You did that 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I couldn't do that. So I give myself credit and grace where it's due. So time management is definitely important.
I have a bonus question for you. I hope you're ready for it, and let's see if I make you cry or not. If I don't, then I ain't do my job. All right, here's the question.
Okay.
When this happened to you, um, who would be most impacted by your death? And how is your relationship has changed with them now?
Well, there goes the tears. Whoo, you got me.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Um, my wonderful children, I actually I have them here. There's one
What's his name? What's that young man's
and
name?
there's two. This is Davin
Hey, Davin.
and this is Mariah.
Mariah.
Yeah, they're they were the most they even to this day they're still the most impacted. Most people would say, "Oh, you went through it, so you went through all this, and it's all you." And I'm like, no, no, no. My kids were greatly impacted. There's been a level of separation anxiety for between me and them that we've had to overcome because they were so used to seeing me, and then I'm in a hospital and I'm not, or I'm not home for weeks. So not seeing them was like, it was heart crushing. Like no parent wants to go through that, and
Yeah.
that's why my heart goes out to um, the mothers and the fathers who have had children lost to this. Paige, my heart goes out to her because I can't imagine. My children are the age of her daughter when this
Right.
happened, so I can't imagine what that's like. But my family has been impacted. I mean, there's been times where they don't want to let me out of their sight because you know there's still a little bit of apprehension there. But yeah, it affects your whole family. And my kids, they've been troopers though. They've been, I will say, they played probably the biggest role in my recovery, outside of God, of course. But they just motivated me. Okay, keep going. You got those little ones. You gotta get back to. You gotta take care of them. You gotta do for them. And I want to be able to play with them again. They were like, "Mom, when can we play? When can we do this?" And it was so much time that we had to spend. Can't play around. Can't hit mommy in the head. And I just wanted to get back to that part of our normal. I know this is my new normal and I'm okay with it. But I wanted that normal back. And I just love my kids. So,
So how did that change your relationship? Like what are you like how is it now? Is it stronger? The bond
oh
stronger?
yes, our bond is super strong now. There's times where it was we were kind of in this routine, this day to day, like locked in, like got to get this done and get this done and get this at bedtime, and then wake up, do it all over again. And now it's like those pockets of quality time. It's like we try to get everything done and homework done because at nighttime when they're with me, we go upstairs. I would say, okay, everybody in mommy's bed. We cuddle. We like to watch the Food Network. They like to watch the cooking shows and eat our snacks together, and that's our quality time, and joke around and laugh and play. And yeah, that's what has I feel like changed the most. And for the better. It's improved. My relationship with my kids is so strong now. Yeah, you couldn't tell them, you can't say mommy's going anywhere without them like, mommy, where you going? Where I missed you. Where
Right.
you going? So
Right. All right. Minda, I thank you so much for coming on tonight. But before we leave, I would like for you to leave us with some closing remarks.
okay, well, don't put me on the spot. Um, but I just really want people to realize that, there's so many quotes about telling us how we should live our lives. And in reality, I think a lot of what changes and what makes us or breaks us is how we love, how we treat people, how people treat us. that just dramatically impacts the way that we see the world. So if you know that how you're treated affects you, then be very conscious of how you treat other people. Um, and be aware that there's certain things about people that you don't always see. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And to love people. That's the most I can really say is love people.
Cool. All right, everybody, please, 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 I very much encourage you to check her out. She has some good content. She also has some merch. God is my glow up. Please show us. What does that mean?
It's Spanish.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. I have
Copy.
the Spanish line as well, and then I have these. This is actually one my favorite item that I have. It's the water bottles. They all come with a little carabiner, and they're little stainless steel twist tops.
Okay.
So they're great for working out. You can clip them to like your bike thing or your clothes or whatever, and walk around and hydrate. So.
Please give us all the information because I'm gonna mess it up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you can go to it's www.godismyglowup.com. That's it.
Okay. I'll put that in the comments for you guys later on so you guys can check it out. Also, check out her YouTube channel. She has a great story that motivated me, inspired me. Check her out. She has a lot of good stuff, and this young lady is really trying to make a big difference in our community. So please support her. Support this movement of AVM survivors, aneurysm survivors, stroke survivors. We don't all look old and just can't move. It could be young as a little child, or it could be old as somebody who's 80 years old. But we all are affected by it. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to talk about this at all that have suffered strokes. So please be mindful of that when you talk to people. Be kind, be courteous, and show love. Um, Minda, I really thank you for coming on. Please, let's connect. And I like to talk to you more because a lot of more stuff I wanted to get from you, but we didn't have time,
Right.
especially the part about death and you not being scared of it. I heard you. I'm not scared of it either.
I'm not at all.
So I would like to get more feedback from you, more understanding of what you think about things. So I really appreciate you, sister. You are my sister now.
You're my brother
Definitely.
now.
Good night, Queen. Thank you for having us.
All right, thank
Oh,
you. Thank you for having me. Bye,
all right,
guys.
bye.